So I walk into
Yeah,
my apartment, literally there's 6 inches of water. I'm scared I'm going to get electrocuted. And that's when
that's
I messaged you because we live like a few hundred meters away. I was
yeah.
like, bruh, I need that little hobbit half bedroom of yours
Yeah,
because
the
I,
single
I don't
bed.
I don't have a place. So I literally packed my bags and a few hours later I was living at your place.
Dude,
Alrighty. Hello everybody and welcome
welcome,
to episode 1 of Get High. My name is Thomas Cook and joining me we've got Mark
Mark.
Dolkin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Episode one, take three.
yeah, so I guess let's kick it off by talking about what the purpose of this channel is going to be, apart from horrible second officer humor and meme accounts to do with aviation.
Yeah.
I guess we've had discussions for a number of years. Like we've been talking about having conversations to do with the job market, different opportunities around the world in aviation. Well, I mean, I can remember talking about it back in Hong Kong, which is at least a couple of years ago. It's taken us this long to actually sit down or me stand up and
Yeah.
actually put it into action and discuss these things. But um, yeah, talk to me about what you think the purpose of the channel is going to be. Some things that we could talk about on a weekly basis, possibly.
Yeah, for sure. So I think like you said, we've been discussing this stuff for so long because we're pilots. So that's what we do. We always complain and, chat about different opportunities and careers, but there's nothing really out there that's there to educate and have open discussion. We're like,
Hmm.
as pilots, we're taught so much about communication, but everyone's really scared to like talk about their careers, talk about airlines, talk about the industry. And we
Hmm.
always see that the standard stuff. Boeing predicts like 20,000 pilot shortage and all that good stuff. And I think we've both now got enough experience. We've worked in a couple of different airlines that we're probably like happy to talk about our experiences and shine on
Absolutely.
different avenues that we've gone down. We both work for different airlines now. We've worked for the same airlines. We've
A
done
few
different things
times.
a few times. Yeah, a few
Yeah,
times. Hey, maybe in the future we might work for the same airline as well. Who
maybe,
knows?
bro. Yeah, probably fly the
Yeah,
152 back at Bunbury or something. I don't know. We'll see.
yeah.
See where
Literally,
the jet market
aircraft
goes.
syndicate or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah. So
It's a funny thing, like there's some amazing podcasts out there for people in finance or medical or construction, but I might have like one or two podcasts that are aviation related in my album of podcasts that I regularly listen to, but none of them really talk about there's never really discussions of people who are in sort of the front lines
yeah,
working midway through their career right now. It's typically,
yeah,
older fellas talking about war stories or what it was like
yeah.
back in the
Back
80s or
in my
something like
day,
that.
yeah.
But yeah, I
Back at
guess
handset,
I think there's a lot of value that particularly younger people could get out of hearing some of our stories about working in
yeah,
different countries. I mean, between both of us, or we've both worked in Australia, Hong Kong, and the US.
yeah,
Um, each one of these markets is totally different, particularly in the post-COVID environment.
yeah. I
And I
worked in
think there's
WA
a
as well, West Australia, separate
yeah, yeah,
country.
yeah, fourth state,
Yeah,
East
you know,
Africa.
yeah.
Yeah. So cool. I guess that's a good summary of what we'll be talking about, generally speaking. But do you want to introduce how you got into aviation to start with?
Yeah, for sure. So, one of those people that's always flown pretty much. High school, started flying, went to university, did the Bachelor of Aviation at Edith Cowan University in Perth. And did I look at doing something else? I did. Did I ever do anything else? I didn't. So, stock standard pilot who gets ruined
Yeah.
during COVID without any other qualifications,
Yes.
which is another series, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And
Career risk, being totally
yeah,
exposed
man,
to a job that requires transportation.
100%. And we've both done different things, which I'm sure we'd be happy to talk about in the
Yeah.
future as well. And like just to mention though, like we're not talking about just young kids as well, right? Because we're also there's a lot of older individuals that come into aviation at a different time,
Sure.
and they always
Yeah.
feel disheartened, like, oh yeah, I'm 30. like you and I'm 30, like there's no
Hmm.
difference. Like if
Yeah.
anything, I was probably always a little bit jealous of the more experienced guys because they were electricians or builders or farm managers.
They've got that side hustle ready for their days
Yep.
off, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And they know how to kill it. They're
Yeah.
street smart. Whereas
And I'd also
let's
add
be
that
honest,
you got guys like you and me who are changing jobs. I'm 28, you're what, 31 now?
31, yeah. Yeah.
31. Like there's no difference between us who, we've already flogged 10 years in the industry compared to someone who might have started a year or two ago, has
Yep.
1500 hours, and
Yep.
now they're starting at the same job. Like it's just really,
100%.
it's amazing timing for anyone to be getting into the industry. And
Yep.
yeah, I really should have said that. It doesn't matter if you're a 19-year-old or if you're a 30 or
Yep.
40-year-old.
Yep.
If you're starting or getting into uh, like an airline job or really anything in aviation at the start of the hiring cycle, you're going to do
Yep.
very well.
Yeah, man. In my so I'll mention it, but I've recently done my training in Australia with an
Yeah.
airline here. There's a 65-year-old training, like, and yes, it's probably difficult, but there's so many older people now coming back out of retirement or coming out of the woods,
Yeah.
who, man, they're in the best position when they don't need the money and they don't need the
Yeah.
career. Like,
Yeah.
let's be honest, we need the job. Like, we go to an
You
interview, I
do.
like borrow, I'll do anything. Like, yeah. And
That's the
that,
thing is
we've done that. We've done
the
that.
best place to be in this industry, I think, is, coming from a place of financial security. It's a lot of the
Yep.
reason why we ended up in airlines is because although we'd love to stay in GA and fly the
Yep.
fun planes,
Yep.
they typically just don't pay, and you get forced
Yep.
into these airline roles because you got mortgages to pay, right? You want to
Amen.
save or like provide for a family. Well,
Yep.
unfortunately, a lot of the time flying a turboprop or a piston plane ain't going to pay the bills.
Yeah.
So
And that's a big thing now is I think, when we started flying, well, I was 16 when I started flying. I went into the program at ECU when I was like 17, 18. I wasn't smart enough or did I know anything else to like make a decision, say, oh, what if a recession hit? And
mhm,
to be honest, the recession had hit, right? That was in 08, 07, and I graduated school in 09. So
perfect
I
timing.
knew, yeah, and like there's always one thing I like to like think about is my instructor who taught me how to fly on the 172. He had 4,000 hours in a 172.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
right.
didn't move. Like no twin
Yeah,
time. And then,
yeah.
like we've talked about it before. Now the progression in aviation is crazy. 700 hours, guys are going on to FO turbines,
Yeah.
jobs we
Yeah.
would have begged for when I was instructing. So
Yep.
um, it's that standard you hear all the old guys like back in my day, I used to hitchhike to go fly a fucking twin. And I'm like, man, I don't care.
That's already you, mate. You're fucking
Yeah,
30.
yeah, like, yeah, yeah.
Back
Now I
back
didn't
in
have to hitchhike, but
2008.
yeah, but they have trams and trains now that I don't need to hitchhike, but like I would still do anything to fly a twin. Like, man,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
need that
yeah.
PLC.
Wait,
Uh,
so ECU was your decision. Did you consider any of the other paths in the country that are available at all? Like
uh,
military, there's local flying clubs, there's various different paths you could have taken.
yeah, I think at that time I looked at military. I didn't get in. I tried twice actually. The first time was after a leavers party. I don't know if that's what you guys called on the new schoolies.
So
Like,
you're gonna blame being hungover.
yeah, I was hungover as like a 17, 18-year-old or
All
whatever, and
right.
obviously flunked out on my aptitude testing, which I was terrible at.
This is when they say, get out of here, go be a second officer in Hong Kong.
Yeah, literally, literally. And so I think I went and labored for 6 months. Building tractors pretty much was my job, like the seeders and that. That was a really cool job actually.
Very cool.
Um, and then I decided, hey, listen, I can't afford flight school. My parents couldn't afford it. Um, so I went to the vet fee help and I did it through the government HEX loan. And that's why I
Cool.
went to ECU and did the aviation
Right.
program. So yeah, man, that's like another podcast in itself is vet fee
The
and the
financing of
implications
an
of it.
aviation
Yeah,
career. Yeah.
because when you're young, man, you'll sign anything. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
I had 120 grand debt that it's paid off, but that affects your borrowing capacity and all that good stuff too. So, it's
For things like mortgages and things like that.
house, yep, house,
Yeah,
everything, man. And
yeah,
even your super and your tax, right? Like that's less money you get to put in there, and
yeah.
you can definitely get a private parts license and a commercial parts license much cheaper with cash. Like,
You can, yeah,
and the other thing to look at is flying schools go bust. Like the flying school I went to went bust, and they will
really.
take your money. Yep. And because in the vet fee programs, you sign it like chunks, like different levels. So like you have to have your PPL, but then you'll pay for your CPL. So you could be halfway through your CPL training and they go bust, which has
Right.
happened. Which what was that one in Sydney? There
I
was that
heard,
big
yeah, I
football
remember.
team. Yeah, we'll talk about that. That's an
Yeah,
episode. But
yeah.
so I did the whole vet fee thing, and
So
I
it puts
got
a lot
out.
of responsibility on the student to have done their homework and to be
Yeah,
selecting an organization that has a track record,
100%,
appears to be
100%,
financially stable, and isn't just going to disappear partway through your training. Because that would
100%.
potentially leave you in financial ruins with
Yeah.
no qualifications,
Exactly. Yeah.
right?
But hey, like that happens to big companies as well, man. Like what
Yeah.
was Virgin, right? And
Hmm.
their cadetship. I'm pretty sure who was it? The Qantas cadetship stopped as well. I can't remember
Well,
that.
Qantas
But
used
like,
to do those at FTA as well as Cathay, I
yeah,
remember.
yeah,
And then they stopped it for a substantial period of time, and now they've got their in-house program up in Toowoomba or whatever it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a
Um,
different market now as well. But
yeah.
so yeah, I did the uni program and then I went GA instructing. So literally I did my instructor's rating. I decided to do instructing, not go up north. And I got a job, which was, straight out of flight school pretty much. I got a job. The guy said I'd be, making coffee, sweet, cleaning the hangar, cleaning the planes. And I was like, I'll
Yeah.
do anything. And yeah, 152s down in the southwest of Perth.
Yeah. Yes,
And
sir. No,
living in
sir.
a
Put your
hangar.
knee pads on.
Yep, put the knee pads on. We,
Yeah.
like whoever's at that flying school, the big red flying school, probably I
Yeah.
painted half of that place, I'd say inside. Yeah, it's crazy,
What was
man.
so this is in Bunbury, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. What was the
Bad.
living accommodation like? Where did people
Um,
live?
so pretty much they had like a big hangar and it had a mezzanine, second floor to it. And so I
Okay.
stayed in there. They had a bed with a TV
Okay.
and then a separate bathroom. But the person next to me was a student. So I don't even know if that stuff's legal anymore. But yeah, it was
Yeah,
it
right.
was
I tell you what,
crazy, man.
though, this would do wonders for setting standards for the rest of your life. Because
Yeah,
now you live in a home that has doors that close with seals, and you're like, oh wow, it's so warm in here. You're
yeah,
not living in a
yeah.
shed anymore.
Exactly.
Sick. So you were instructing there for a period of time. Uh, that probably leads to somewhere around where we met,
Yeah.
as we both transitioned to a job in Hong Kong. How many
Amen.
hours did you have when you were looking to transfer?
Damn, man. I thought I got lucky back then and I had 1,000 hours. So 800 PIC, 1,000
Okay.
hours total time.
Yep.
And yeah, so that story, which we can talk about, was I saw the Cathay Pacific ad on Facebook, like well done
Yeah.
marketing team.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. You've paid
yeah,
$15 a day for a Facebook marketing slide.
yeah, they put on that like Facebook marketing, and it's just popped into
Yeah.
my DMs to like quarter life crisis, poor pilot.
Yeah.
Um, work in the reception. I was literally on the reception desk computer, probably on AFAP and Facebook.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, the ads popped up. My high school girlfriend dumped me, and I was like, I'll apply for Hong Kong. Like, why
Yeah.
not? And then
Yeah.
next minute, did the meeting with who was it? It was like Katrina Evans. So the
Oh
Evans, who are
yeah.
still in the aviation industry,
Yep.
and that was at Jandakot. I met
Hmm.
a couple of the guys, and next minute we were flown up to Hong Kong, and we did the interview, and then got the congratulations. And it
Sweet.
was so weird because my chief pilot at the time, he was like, "Mark, here's a story. I think you remember this. I didn't have my IFR then. I had
I
no
know.
instrument. I
I know.
was
I
the
was
first
gonna.
person apparently hired as a
Yeah.
Cathay without an instrument
I
rating.
think it was actually a mistake them hiring you because you
Yeah,
were meant
I
to
think
have it.
yeah, So that's a story, because what happens is I get my chief pilot, who used to work at FTA, who was like one of the heads who started it. He called them up. Who was that South African guy who was running the place? And he was like,
Yeah.
so one of my
Pine.
instructors, this is the situation. And they're like, we've never had a guy like this. Like, this is impossible. Either way,
Yeah.
I get an email congratulating me to start in like a month's time. And I'm over
Yeah.
the moon, man. I'm like, I've hit it.
Yeah.
I'm fucking out of here.
Yeah, dude. This is
And
jackpot.
yeah, they're like, we just want to confirm you said you'd get your instrument rating in the interview. Have you got it? And I was like, my jaw just dropped, man. Like I had no
Yeah,
hours. I had like 5 hours IF for the CPL or something. And so
yeah.
yeah, I ended up doing a single engine IFR rating in that time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got the job. And
Make it to you,
you
make it,
remember?
baby.
Yeah, baby, fake it till you make it. Like, and all the instructors at FTA were like, man, that guy. So the guy who was my instructor, they were all talking, right? Like all pilots
Mhm.
talk, and like, oh man, this guy sucks. Oh, you've got the student who doesn't have an IFR rating.
He's never flown IFR before.
Yeah. So he was like, they gave me the head instructor at FTA, so one of the senior guys, and I think that was because of my lack of experience. But they
Yeah.
didn't realize I had just done the IFR rating on like a G1000 and a six pack Cessna. So I actually knew how to fly, and I did IFR theory and all that stuff.
Had you done IREX?
I did the RX, yeah. So I'd done all of
Yeah.
that. And it turns out, you know how life is. It's like my instructor wasn't even that good. Like, it was like I was trying to instruct myself pretty much. But yeah, I got into Cathay without an IFR rating. And
What
to be
about
honest,
yeah, go ahead.
I think that's too much experience now to get a job with them. Like I think you
Yeah,
need less.
sorry, too much.
Yeah, like I think if you had
you're
200 hours,
you're going to be problematic.
Yeah. Cathay HR,
What
if you're
about
listening, like we're trying to get you people.
yeah, exactly. Did you have ATPs completed?
I had two. I started my ATPLs, and then for me, I'd done 2 years instructing, and I was looking at going up north, and I was
Okay.
starting to get people replying to the emails like, "Hey, yeah, come up to Exmouth, and we'll consider you to fly like around the Wales or something like that in an airman."
Yeah.
And so I started the ATPLs. That was the next move. Is I needed twin time, but there was no movement, man. There were 3 instructors in front of me. The one guy had just cracked 500 hours. He thought he would be in Jetstar. Jetstar never got back to him. Like, there was just nothing. So
total dead industry.
Total dead industry. Like we were talking about it before. Like I was looking at Botswana. I looked at Suzy Air. I was ready to like, hey, I need to go get this 210 and into a twin, because that's what you needed was your 500 hours twin time.
Dude, 500 PIC twin. Yeah. That was
Yeah.
like bare minimums to get into any subsidiary at Qantas at the time. It was crazy.
And now you don't need that at all. It's just a
Crazy
different
how
industry.
times change, man. Like degrees, no one gives a crap. Don't care about it. Basically, do you have an ATP usually? And
There's one
I
thing
guess
I would say though is in the Cathay interview, this is the impression I got, is they did weigh me up higher because I had the degree, because I didn't have much experience. And I do believe degrees do play a role in those more professional institutes. GA up north, no, you don't need one. Like, don't do an aviation degree if you want to get a job like that, because you can lose your jobs very easily too, and it's seasonal. So
yeah, I should also mention that the majors in the US, even in the pilot crunch that's happening right now, super like a significant shortage of pilots. Delta, United, American, none of those have waived their bachelor's requirement yet.
Yeah,
or have they? I don't believe that.
No, Atlas reduces your hours for entry. It goes from 15 to 1,200 with a bachelor's.
Yeah, so they say like we value this at 300 hours basically, or something like that.
And the US is weird because they have lots of aviation degrees. That's how people do it now over there.
Yeah.
So
well, everyone goes to college, right? It's a cultural thing.
Yeah,
It's
everyone goes
it's
and gets 100 grand debt, and it's normal. So
it's standard.
yeah, but
Yeah.
what about yourself, mate? How did you start out, and like when did you start flying? What route did you go down?
Yeah. So I both my parents were in the industry already.
Yeah,
So I was very much exposed to flying, my entire life, and
yeah,
always knew I was going to be in it somewhere or another. Um,
yeah,
Never thought I'd ever do like a regular job, to be honest, ever.
yeah,
But yeah, I guess like around 16, 17, started looking at options, started scouting people that I knew at the time, family, friends, and whatnot. And the three pathways that generally are available: military, university, and sort of cadetship. I guess it's like
yeah,
GA as well.
yeah,
I ended up being sort of steered towards the cadetship path for one main reason, and that is because um, I didn't want to be entering the market with no hours.
yeah,
That to me was the biggest risk that I wanted to avoid, is having a shiny bachelor's degree, which I could have done at UNSW or Griffith, something like that.
yeah,
In fact, I did it's very casual, but I did an interview for the UNSW one, and that would have worked out fine.
yeah,
And it would have come with college life and all that fun shit that 18-year-olds do. But
yeah,
I I really I wanted to have a job that was attached to the education, so
yeah,
that I could grind my way to 1,000-ish hours as quickly as possible.
yeah,
So I ended up going with a company called Sharp Airlines,
yeah.
and that was back in the day. It was based out of Hamilton, Victoria, which is basically a crater, a hole in the middle of Victoria that
Wow,
has a total of one nightclub, one McDonald's, and one cafe.
that's all you
Um,
need.
that's all you need. That's all I use now.
Yeah,
Um,
I still only need that.
that's why I live in the cross, baby.
Yeah, yeah,
Macca's and nightclubs.
that's it, baby.
But yeah, so I applied for this cadetship, got in, it was great. I had honestly the best time of my life over that sort of 18-month period as a broke student,
Yeah,
stacking shelves to pay rent each week.
where
But
at?
yeah, Aldi, mate, Aldi.
Howdy. Far
which
out.
uh which you should understand is like a upper tier of all of the different shelf stacking jobs out there. And then Woolworths is just below. So
I was at IGA, so I was at the independent grocery.
IGA is way down,
Yeah,
bro.
man, I got worked hard there, harder than GA.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, dude, Aldi paid, man. I think I was on like 24 bucks an hour. It's crazy.
yeah. Europeans,
Anyway,
baby.
yeah, you pay rent in like 3 hours work. Anyway, I did the cadetship. It was awesome. And then we had the option of requesting, depending on how you graded within your class of 12,
Yeah,
to move to Launceston base,
yeah,
Adelaide, or Essendon.
yeah,
And yeah, like Launceston was kind of where all the hardos went, because it's like hard flying, and
yeah.
like
Real fun.
they actually get weather down there. Essendon, and everyone's on the same money, right? So if you choose Melbourne, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, because you'd be living below the poverty scale.
Yeah.
On I think we're on about $27,000 a year, and
What?
living in
Crazy.
yeah, because we were bonded for our metro type rating, right? And they take that out of your pay before you even touch it. So
Oh, fuck,
yeah, we
that
got
is.
$517 a week, whatever that math is.
Yeah.
And yeah, the last remaining one is Adelaide, which is Cav OK all year, baby. And yeah, flew around some minors for a bit over a year, and then my contract came to an end. So it was a 1 year deal basically to get
Yeah.
hours. And at that time, which is obviously same time as you were looking for work, there
Yeah.
was nothing available
Yeah.
globally. Like I applied for no shit 100 different places around the world. I was looking
Yeah.
in Brazil, Canada,
Yeah.
obviously Australia, all around the country. Every GA operator that was on AFAP, is it AFAP? What's the
Yeah.
um,
AFAB.
yeah, AFAP. Uh, where else? A couple of like Scoot. I applied for a second officer role at Scoot.
Yeah.
And none replied. I got like a couple of polite, like, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, out of pure desperation, I just wrote an email to one of our close mutual friends, Mandy Fong,
Yeah.
who was a HR lady at Cathay Pacific at the time. And I just lied. I was like, hey, coming to Hong Kong on a holiday. I swear I don't want an interview, but can I just come and say hello and see the facilities and everything?
Yeah.
And she's like, eventually she replied. She was like, oh, no, it's all right. Like, come on in and you can have an interview.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
man, I was super pumped. Like, there was no other options. And I remember going up, doing the interview, and you know how it's like 2 days of it?
Yeah.
So you pass day one, then you go to day two. I
Do the
remember
same.
in between, so after day one, I'd received a letter from my old boss saying, thanks, your contract's expired. You have 1 month left of employment. So
Uh,
I was literally about to be on the gutter with no job. And
yeah.
anyway, got the job. Uh, Super stoked, 21 years old, flying a 777 around the world. It was pretty, I was over the
That's,
moon, honestly. It was sick.
yeah.
That's where I met you, dude. I guess
Yeah.
you were on the
Heck
course
yeah.
ahead of me, so like I don't know, like 2, 3 months more senior,
Yeah.
and we ended up doing a stint together living with one
Yeah.
another. After a typhoon came through Hong Kong while I was away on a work trip, and
Yeah.
because this is such a fuck story. The building manager was doing renovations on the outside of the building, basically like getting rid of all the paint and then repainting it.
Yeah.
And rather than do what would happen in a normal Western country where, okay, like we're removing a layer of paint on the outside, let's basically either collect it as it falls or sweep it up at the end of the day so that gutters don't fill. They
Yeah.
just left
Yeah.
it there. And then a
Yeah.
typhoon came through, and because all the gutters were blocked, my
Yeah.
entire apartment, which was on the ground floor where all the scaffolding was being
Yeah.
like built up around, just
Yeah.
flooded. So I walk into
Yeah.
my apartment, literally there's 6 inches of water. I'm scared I'm going to get electrocuted. And that's when
That's
I messaged you because we lived like a few hundred meters away. I was
yeah.
like, bruh, I need that little hobbit half bedroom of yours
Yeah.
because
The
I,
single
I don't
bed.
I don't have a place. So I literally packed my bags and a few hours later I was living at your place.
Dude, I remember
So
that was an ordeal because they wouldn't give you your bond back or
and
something,
I
wouldn't
never I
they?
never got it back. And she that
Didn't
that
you?
landlord said take me to court. And I spoke to my sister who's a lawyer and she was like, look, you can either forego your bond or spend multiples more on legal
Yeah.
fees in Hong Kong trying to extract the value of your bond back from this person. So anyway, I left. You know what? Years later, like 2 years later, this landlord messages me out of the blue and says, "Hey, you haven't paid rent for 2 years. You owe me X 0.0000000 dollars."
No
And
way.
right, I just blocked it. I was like, "This is crazy. Like, you're mental. Don't ever message me again."
Give me that number. I want to message them, man. That's just some greedy person. Like
Yeah. Crazy,
that's
dude,
crazy.
crazy. But that's almost oh fuck, like that's a video in itself is the attitude of the housing market in Hong Kong. There's just
Yeah.
such an arrogance of landlords in that country where
Yeah.
because the rental lease agreement system is structured in a 1-2 basis whereby you can break lease after the first year and then every second year um,
Renew
you
it.
have to renew your lease, they've got
Yeah.
you by the balls because they know that at the end of the 2 years, you're either going to spend a ton of money on removalists to change apartments,
Yeah.
or you can just pay an extra 10, 15, 20% more on rent because housing prices have increased in the last 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, that's me,
That's
man.
the
Bit
life.
of GA in Oz, then met you in
So
Hong Kong and then the US.
yeah. And then now you're in the US flying what?
Flying 747s, baby. This is a free sponsorship on
747,
the behalf of
baby. The
Boeing.
Queen. The
The Queen,
Queen.
yeah. No, I've
Yeah.
been flying in the US for like a year. You came over for a little stint as well.
Yeah. I did. I
And
did this.
and it's been cool, man. I think the most it's been exciting. It's a totally different market. It's different flying, ATC's different, weather's different.
Yeah.
Um, it's just and you know what, like in a lot of ways, the US is kind of like the OG of aviation. Like shit just gets done. Like they very much lead the market in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And it's been really, really cool to just get to know how things work over there.
Yeah.
Um,
Man, the US is just a different beast, isn't it? And I would
mm,
never, I miss it. Like, I never regret going to the US. I feel like I should have done it earlier. If not, I would say anyone young should do it as well.
mhm.
Um, it's just crazy. Pilots, you just walk through security there. There's so many jets. There's
Yeah,
so much GA,
yeah,
and I don't know if you've got 1,500 hours, I'd say do it. Like, go run free. And America, man,
yeah.
I don't know. It's America, man. I just wish
It's
I could.
just it is truly a country of opportunity.
It is.
And you know, taking aside just the job, I think opportunities to do things on the side,
Yeah.
opportunities for your partner to do things. It's not just aviation that typically has better packages in the States. It's lawyers, doctors, accountants. It's really any skilled labor
Yeah.
or tertiary educated career in America typically
Yeah.
pays quite well. And the
Yeah.
reason for that is because of access to education. Not
Yeah.
everyone can afford to get degrees over there. So if you happen to be educated, whether you're a pilot or any other professional, there's immense
Yeah.
opportunity if you're willing to leave your comfort zone wherever you might live and have a
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just quickly, 777 or 74?
uh oh God. Um they both serve
They're
their
not the
purpose
same.
and
They're totally different though, right?
they're not the same. I think the 777 is a lot smarter.
Yeah.
I think it's
But
easier to fly. It's easier
yeah.
to learn. It's more
Yeah.
automated.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it breaks less often.
Yeah.
Um, but from a lifestyle perspective, I think the 7-4 is superior, and the reason for that is because of the bunks.
Yeah.
On the at least on the freighters, we've got an entire upper deck which is dedicated to basically comfort. You've got two lay flat beds in separate rooms at the back of the top deck, and then you've got usually 6 or 8 business class seats to stretch out, watch a movie or whatever, and then your galley. That is not the same on the 777, particularly for a freighter 777,
Yeah.
which is obviously what I do now. Um, and yeah, I mean, like just deadheading on the business class seats on the 777 is a bit of a nightmare because the galley and the seating area is one space.
Yeah. So
So
there's no one.
you might be reclined trying to sleep, and
Yeah.
every hour you've got the operating crew coming back, stepping over you, turning the galley light on, trying to make a coffee or something like that.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that's kind of shit. A lot of people complain that Boeing dropped the ball with their design of the 777 freighter.
Yeah. But
Um,
what's the go
but
with the 777 packs? Where were your bunks with the passengers?
777 packs, sorry, the PAX bunks were at door one left. There's
Yeah.
basically a wall. Surely this is the same on the 350, but
Yeah, but
it's
our
just a
our beds
wall.
are in a different place.
Huh?
Well, our beds were at the top of the cockpit, pretty much, just behind it.
Yeah, yeah,
On
yeah,
the
yeah. So yes, that was the same on the passenger 777.
yeah.
On the
We
freighter
had
triple seven, there's no upstairs.
yeah, all
Behind
right.
the cockpit, there's a
Yeah,
room, and it's one person sleeps at this height. You have to like
yeah,
climb up onto the thing, and then a
yeah.
person sleeps on the fucking floor.
That's
Like a
bad.
mattress on the floor. And I remember, dude, I was flying a passenger converted 7-4 the other day,
Yeah,
and these don't have the typical treehouse configuration that we're used to.
yeah,
They're the same config that the passenger ones used to have, obviously,
yeah,
and that is the same as the 777 freighters today. So I go to this
yeah,
captain, I'm like, oh, hey, like, I'm trying to be nice. I'm like, hey, do you want to like sleep on top or bottom? And he's like,
yeah.
like, are you serious? Are you actually asking me that? I'm like, no, I genuinely don't know which one's better, which is obviously the one you want. He's like, yeah, you're on the bottom, dude. Okay.
No ways.
Yeah, and
That's
I know why. It's because it's fucking weird when a guy is going to bed and you've got like his legs up against your face climbing up onto this bed while you're trying to sleep on the floor. It's
what?
yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty rogue.
that's not cool. That's
Um so was something else I wanted to ask you, and that was like you've obviously we've both done long haul. I'm still
Yeah,
long haul, but you've now recently made the transition to short haul flying.
yeah,
What have you noticed being the benefits or negatives to that shift? Because it's a significant change in lifestyle going
yeah.
from flogging 16-hour shifts to 1 hour sectors.
I, man, because I did the freight stuff and that was still short haul, I guess. The longest flight was 5 hours. Um, I reckon it was awesome. Like the 7-3 was the country club of, prime. It's, day flying, easy, 2 sector days. Yeah, I'm yet to do it in Oz yet, so we'll see how that goes when I do a 4 sector day. But I won't
Yeah,
be doing any night flying because of curfews. So,
true.
man, I honestly, since I left Cathay, I haven't done a night shift, and I do love it. Like, I don't miss it.
Yeah.
I don't miss
All the
burning the midnight.
obvious, all the obvious health benefits that come with that.
Yeah, yeah,
Maintaining a
and
regular diet.
yeah,
You're into your sport, like you can actually participate in a team sport again.
100%.
Um,
Like, I'm doing hockey training today, on Thursday, on Saturday. In Hong Kong, I used to get back from like a Surabaya or Singapore night return and go and play hockey. And
mhm.
that's like after 7 hours of me in the seat as the second officer, because I'd get burnt out right for flight and duty times. Um, Man, I don't miss it. Like,
Yeah,
and then you'd go and sleep in some shitty apartment in Hong Kong where the window aircon makes a noise. And yeah, right, I had
yeah.
shitty, but um, man, yeah, I don't miss having to eat through the night and chat to people.
It's
I'd much
funny,
rather.
of all the people I know that have left Cathay and have gone basically anywhere. So like you've got guys who've gone to Qantas, some other
Yeah,
domestic carriers in Australia, Jetstar, etc., and then people who have gone to regionals in the States.
yeah,
Almost everyone has gone back to short haul, and I haven't heard a single person complain about it purely because of the immense like lifestyle benefits that you get back in your life. Diet,
and
sleep,
that's
relationships, everything.
yeah. Well, I think we talk about that next one because we can talk about our life in Hong Kong, SOs, doing the different type of flying because people want that lifestyle. People want to burn their hours, right? And
Hmm.
my mates always used to be like, "Oh man, I've done like I'll do 84 hours, you do 84, and we'll do it in 3 flights."
Yeah.
Whereas if you're a GA warrior or a domestic astronaut, you're working your ass off for like
Oh, yeah.
60 hours, and that's what I'm
Yeah.
going to be doing. So,
Yeah. And a
um,
significant number of those, the hours at work are unpaid, right? Because you're getting
yeah.
paid for block.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but life's pretty easy, man. I don't, I like going to work when the sun's coming up or it's sunlight and I can have a nice coffee and yeah, it is what it is.
Most people
Like,
do it, man. And there's a reason why people like that lifestyle.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll see the difference of like our colleagues from Cathay and what they look like in 10, 20 years compared to maybe you and
Exactly.
me.
That's why I
So
already look like I'm 40 and I'm younger than you.
yeah. Yeah. And you're
All
still
right,
doing
man.
it. Yeah,
Bro,
you're still doing
I know. We're coming to the end of our 40
it.
minutes. It's been
Right.
sick chatting to you, and
Yeah, yeah.
I'll
Let's
talk
do
to
it.
you on the next one, man. It's been fun.
Let's do it. We'll talk to everyone back then.
All right, brother. See you, everybody.
See ya.
Thank you.
Bye.